Happy New Year. Welcome to 2026 and the PHLY Sixers pregame show live from the Xfinity mobile studio along with Derek, Kyle, I'm Devon. We are presented by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. And we have the gang all back together now with Bree back after the new year.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. And all of you in the chat, once again, Happy New Year. Thanks for tuning in on this new year. I hope you all had a great, safe night, like Kyle said when we signed off on Tuesday night. And we hope you enjoyed yourselves. And we appreciate you spending your Thursday night, your New Year's evening with us as the Sixers get ready to take on the Dallas Mavericks in Game 4 of their road trip, hoping to keep the winning ways going to start off 2026. We'll get to the pregame picks a little bit later. Certainly have the starters for you as well. The second and final clash of the year between VJ Edgecombe and Cooper Flagg. This rookie class is fantastic. They are two of the headliners. And we got to start off with the 2026 year. Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, Paul George, VJ Edgecombe, all available tonight. Kyle, let's start with you, man. The last time these two teams went at it, you were on vacation. You had an opportunity to be on vacation. It was an entertaining game, and we get a chance to see those two guys that we'll talk about a little bit later. But here we are after the game that they played, the final game on Tuesday night. Looked fantastic in that overtime win over the Memphis Grizzlies. And you might as well keep it going against the Dallas Mavericks team here that is not all that great. They're decent enough, but look, you're on the road, keep it going, and you do so once again where you do have Joel Embiid in back-to-back games in terms of not back-to-back nights, but back-to-back play where he's on the floor with the rest of the group.
Yeah, look, I wish I could sit here and make some case for the Dallas Mavericks as a good or even mediocre team, but they're a half game better than the Charlotte Hornets this year. They have not been a very good basketball team. Most of that is driven by their offense. Their offense has been bottom 5 basically all year. Some of that driven by a frankly bizarre desire to have Cooper Flagg run point. And once they kind of figured out, hey, you don't want him to just be a point guard. You want Cooper to be as fluid and as flexible as possible. Things trended up a little bit, but I believe they've lost 4 of their last 5. Anthony Davis is perpetually banged up, although he is playing tonight. So we get it looks like, unless there's some big surprise that I'm missing, Joel Embiid versus Anthony Davis. To me, one of the big things coming into this game, and I know that Joel's availability is always a big deal, but coming out of that game the other night where Joel plays 38 minutes, the most minutes he's played all year. And we thought he looked good, thought he looked mobile, thought he looked fluid. Obviously, there were some issues later in the game, missed shots, turnovers, whatnot. Derek's cat even getting involved. I was wondering, hey, is this going to be a situation where 38 minutes is enough to say they're not going to play him tonight? The medical staff steps in and says he crossed whatever their red line is, and they got to hold him out. I think the fact that he was probable as of last night, he's remained probable all day, and that he's going to be back in the lineup is a good omen for where his health is at right now. I know he was still listed with the ankle, whatever they're using it, right knee injury management, that silly designation. It's good that he's back in the lineup. They continue to get reps. They continue to build continuity. And for Joel, hopefully he's continuing to build confidence in his knee and his lower extremities, because the sooner they can get him to whatever the new 100% is for him, the sooner they can look like the most fully realized version of this team.
Yeah, no, I mean, my apologies for my cat. She just decided that at that point in her life, the most pressing thing was trying to reach up and grab my camera, which is obviously not the best for our stream. So I'm just going to have to sit her on my lap and cuddle her for the next 30 minutes. No, I mean, it is, you brought up the Mavs, and their offense has been their problem the entire year. Well, over the last 6 games where they've dropped 5 of the last 6. And I feel like the last time we talked about, or we played the Mavs and talked about them, they were kind of playing competent basketball for maybe the first time all season. That quickly went in the toilet. And part of that is because their defense has now been trending backwards and is now about as much of a problem as their offense. Over the last 6 games, they are 22nd ranked offense and the 20th ranked defense. when they were trying to climb back up to respectability, it was all going to be on the backs of that defensive effort. So if that continues to trail or trend in the wrong direction, they are a very winnable game here tonight. Obviously, part of that is that AD missed 2 of those games, and I think left one of those other games early. So he has been a part-time player over that stretch. He is a key part of their defense for sure. But it just really shows they have very little margin for error. If their defense is not clicking at a high level, they are a very, very bad basketball team. So I'm curious to see, anytime you can see Cooper Flagg play is a good day. Anytime you can see the Sixers Big Four, which we'll call them right now, a little bit of quotation marks, I think, is
the medium 3 or the big 4. You pick.
But I am interested to see how Joel looks, how they look alongside of each other, how all the pieces fit, because we have so little data on that. And this is a team that they should have a chance to have success against.
And it is great that as we start this conversation off with Joel Embiid playing, again, back-to-back games where they play Tuesday night, plays those long minutes, the most he played all season long, and they get the win, have the day off, travel, and they're in Dallas, that he's out there. It's really good to see that, because as Kyle, you pointed out, Derek, that the trending upward and seeing where it goes from here. Maybe it helps that he had that good chemistry with Tyrese Maxey, where the success was there, both scoring 34 points in that game against Memphis in the overtime win. Maybe that also helps, where some of that pain is eased after a pretty good performance and a victory, where you're feeling a little bit better of, you know what, I can play through some of this stuff. Maybe not 38, but maybe I can play 30, 32. We get the win. Once you get on the road, winning heals a lot of points, where even on Tuesday when we were talking about it, Kyle was talking about injured versus hurt. And some of that stuff, when you're winning basketball games, you can tolerate some of the pain that you do. And him going against Anthony Davis, and look, we talk about the 30 minutes, and on this minute restriction is basically reported as 30 to 34 minutes for Anthony Davis. That's a full basketball game for him. It just depends on when those stretches are going to be and how long Joel Embiid will be out there on the floor, able to be out there on the floor, foul related, and of course just what the substitution pattern is for Nick Nurse. But it is really good to see that he gets to go against a really good competitor there, and Anthony Davis, if he's healthy, to get through this entire game. And most importantly for the Sixers is just the chemistry that they can continue to build. This is a game in which they can continue to do this. They keep talking about how they want to build this chemistry in the offseason, and they have yet to do so, playing in these 5 games now, 1-4. They have a long way to go. Now, the season is still very long in terms of them trying to build that chemistry up, getting those reps in that we've discussed. And any game is good for them to get some reps, and it doesn't hurt to go against a team that's not that great defensively, but one in which where this is not Christian Koloko, where Joel Embiid is just going to have his way with the center. He's going to have to really do his stuff against a veteran center, big man, that knows how he plays. And let's see how it all plays together. Maybe this is where the 2-man game comes in and the pick and pop, where Joel Embiid can't hesitate as much and just simply has to shoot that 15 to 17 footer. Maybe he can do some other things where he is going to hang around the perimeter a little bit more and do the work that he does against somebody who is as skilled as Anthony Davis on the defensive end and knows his game. So that the whole thing of playing against somebody like this, I'm very, very intrigued to see where it is, because we missed it the first time. Looking forward to seeing it tonight.
Yeah, so one of the interesting things about the Mavs this year is that while I think they certainly wouldn't turn down Anthony Davis being available, they've actually been worse defensively with him on the floor. I can't tell you that I've watched enough Dallas Mavericks basketball to tell you the ins and outs of that and why that is. But I do think it's an interesting, I guess, iteration of this matchup, where historically we think of Anthony Davis, Joel Embiid, both at the peak of their powers, are Defensive Player of the Year caliber defenders. Different styles, right? Joel is primarily drop defender, a bigger body who can guard the biggest guys in the league, where Davis is more switchable, more of an event creator with steals and blocks. And they've had some great matchups in the past. Joel has generally gotten the better of him individually, and I believe in the win-loss column. But both of these guys right now are thinking less about probably all that stuff and more about, let me get 5 games, 10 games in a row under my belt, find some semblance of consistency. I think part of that with AD is probably that his insistence on playing power forward has won out to some degree again in Dallas, where that's always been one of my biggest beefs with him as a player, is that he's not willing to just bang with the big boys every night, where I think that's his best position. I think that makes the offense easier for all his teams as well. But I'm interested. I wouldn't say excited. I'd say I'm intrigued to see what this matchup between these two guys looks like in 2026. And then obviously plenty of other storylines on the Sixers end, as we're going to talk about at some point. VJ versus Flagg, a big sales point for this game for even the neutral observer.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see, because Kyle brought this up, the Maxey, Edgecombe, George, Barlow, Drummond 5-man unit, which is amazingly the Sixers' most used 5-man unit at 108 possessions, is a negative 25.7. You substitute Drummond in or Embiid in for Drummond, it's a plus 5.7. So legitimately a 31-point swing. And they've been pretty competitive on both sides of the floor. So I'm curious to see how well this group, obviously everything's a small sample size, but we've been talking about, the medium 4. But I think the also component in that is Dominic Barlow. Like, how much is his activity on the glass going to help Joel Embiid? How much is his off-ball cutting going to help Joel Embiid? I think we saw some pretty good chemistry in that last game between those two. So I'm just interested to get more data on this starting 5, because I think it has a chance to be pretty good.
All right, let's take our break here, everybody. We're going to take our pause for you on the pregame show. When we come back, let's discuss the two fantastic rookies, VJ Edgecombe and Cooper Flagg. Sixers got the best of the Mavericks in Philadelphia. Let's see what happens in Dallas. We'll come back. We'll discuss those two. It's the Sixers pregame show. First game of 2026. Sixers-Mavs right here on the PHLY Sixers pregame show. Presented by Bet365. Whatever the moment's never ordinary at Bet365. And you get 90 million users worldwide. Let's get that number up here in the new year, 2026. And maybe you want to be a part of the 90 million users plus, and the live in-game betting that happens as well. And you get the early payout offers in the NBA, the NHL, as well at Bet365. And new customers, first of all, tonight, starting off right with Bet365, they give you a 30% profit boost on a same-game parlay of your choice. They're at Bet365. So if you're a new customer, breaking news here as we start off the new year. New customers can get $150 in bonus bets. Here's how. Bet 100. You bet $5 after depositing 10, and you get $150 win or lose at Bet365. All right? Bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And guys, we also want to tell you about Xfinity and their 5-year price guarantee. What if you could have reliable and intelligent Wi-Fi? And what if you could keep it at the same price for 5 years? That's the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Imagine Wi-Fi that makes everything in your home work together, that finds and fixes problems before you even notice them, like super intelligent Wi-Fi with a sixth sense. And that lets you stream the game even when the whole family's online. All your devices working in perfect harmony for 5 whole years. And here's the best part. No annual contracts, no hidden fees, and Xfinity's best equipment included. Take it from me, a lot can change in 5 years. They barely even let you sign NBA players to 5-year contracts anymore. Championships are won, records are broken, dreams grow bigger. But your Wi-Fi, it should stay reliable, and the price should stay put. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities with Xfinity. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Select plans only, restrictions apply.
We're back here on the PHLY Sixers pregame show. Sixers-Mavs, VJ Edgecombe, Cooper Flagg, and Derek. Sixers won that one by 7, 121-114 in their first matchup. It was about a week and a half ago here in Philadelphia. VJ Edgecombe with 26, Cooper Flagg in 24. Just to kind of remind people of that game, those guys got it going. Najee Marshall had a really good game as well. Of course, Tyrese Maxey did also. But those two in particular, get the Kyle's thoughts on checking in on his thoughts on those two guys of this rookie class, but just kind of going back to that game, what you saw from Flagg in that first action.
No, I mean, he's really good at basketball. I think what you saw, I think there are probably portions of that game where you would have liked him to be a little bit more aggressive. I think he is a type of player who, the Sixers will throw various defenders at him. I think Barlow and Walker drew him a good bit. And look, they're capable, but if you're a Dallas fan, you want him to be aggressive. And he came out, he scored, I think, about 60 combined points over the next 2 games for the Mavs. So he was a little bit more aggressive in there. He's obviously had a couple of 40-point games, set that 18-year-old record. Or did he set it, or was it the most since LeBron, right? He didn't set it. It doesn't matter. He's had a lot of success for an 18-year-old.
Broke it at 42.
Did he break it?
Yeah, 41 and 42. Yeah.
He is capable of monster nights. I thought the Sixers did a pretty good job in that win a little while back, but he's tough. He's really good. He's obviously big, gets to his spots, can rise up. I think some people can look at the 3-point percentage, which is still hovering below 30%, but he's got a good mid-range game, and just a guy that very few can physically match up against. The Sixers will certainly have their hands full.
Derek, you brought up the 3-point percentage. I think the thing that's been most impressive is that as a rookie, he is averaging close to 20 points a game, and he hasn't shot the ball well at all.
Yeah.
Right. Like that. And the fact that teams are more aggressive than they have ever been, and I feel like it gets more and more every year. When they know guys can't shoot or they feel like someone can't shoot, they're going to load up in the paint. They're going to wall you off. They're going to play 6, 8, 10 feet off of you and really make you work to get to the rim. And teams have certainly showed some dare shots to Cooper that he still hasn't made. And yet he's still been able to get to the basket. He's still been able to get to the free throw line a little bit for a rookie. And obviously he's a huge weapon in early offense, semi-transition, fast breaks, whatnot. And some of that is because he's able to get the transition possessions started, right? He's a dangerous defensive player, active in passing lanes, active as a weak side rim protector, and just someone that you inherently trust on that end of the floor. He's part of why they've been able to build some sort of defensive reputation early on in his career. And so I think you could say a lot of the same things about VJ, right? You look at all the splits for the Sixers and all the plus minus stats, the on off, whatever you want to look at, VJ being on the floor has pointed toward winning. And it's because, yes, he's been one of the most clutch shooters in the entire league, right? But during the full 48 minutes, what we see from VJ is play-to-play effort, understanding of off-ball rotations. He's communicating with people. I know there were some tough moments in that Memphis game because John Morant was just going crazy and cooking just about anybody in front of him. But by and large has been a super impactful and helpful defender, especially as the season has worn on. And I think like what we've seen from these two is largely what we saw in college, in high school. I love the little friendly rivalry that VJ and Cooper have had dating back to when they were in high school, where we've talked about it, I think, on the show before, the clips from AAU and high school where Cooper and VJ are talking trash. Cooper ended up on the winning side more often than not because he had what I would say is a legendary high school team, that collection of talent they had down there at Montverde. But I'm excited for the second chapter in their pro careers against one another. But yeah, again, like the big thing here is this is a team the Sixers should beat. They are a better team overall. They have more firepower. I'm not the biggest D'Angelo Russell fan in the world, but when you don't have one of your only guards on the roster to take responsibilities off of Cooper Flagg, it's going to put Cooper Flagg in positions where he's got to handle the ball a little bit more than he probably should. And so I would expect the Sixers to try to pressure him on the ball a little bit, see if they can turn him over, get out on the break themselves, unleash VJ. We'll see if that's the approach they end up going with tonight.
You brought it up. I just want to mention the clutch stats real quickly. And again, clutch is last 5 minutes a game, score within 5 points. VJ is shooting 61% from the field and 61.5% from three-point range. He leads the team in made threes during clutch time. Leads the team ahead of Tyrese Maxey, ahead of Quentin Grimes, ahead of anybody.
I think the only guy who has as many or more clutch threes as him in the league is Steph Curry, right? Like that's the type of I actually, after that game the other night, I was running it back in my head and I'm thinking about
more than he does. Yeah.
I'm thinking
about
him and
Anthony Davis that were tied. Yeah.
I don't think Anthony Davis has the most clutch threes.
I mean, I'm sorry, Anthony
Edwards. You're thinking
Anthony
Edwards. Yeah.
I was going to say.
Edwards. Yeah. No.
That would have been the biggest shock of all time. But after the game the other night, I'm thinking, I wonder if VJ has a chance to win Clutch Player of the Year. I don't think he's the type of player that typically gets considered for that award. You have to be more of the face of the franchise, focal point of the offense, like De'Aaron Fox, Jalen Brunson, guy you're just giving the ball to every time down. But if you shoot 60% from three for the year in clutch situations, I don't know. They might have to make an exception. So that would be a fun subplot as we get deeper into the year is, can VJ as a rookie win an award that is a new award, but is a more of a league-wide thing rather than him against some of the other rookie class members?
So despite the fact that Devon butchered the name and said it incorrectly, I do want to give him credit because he was spot on. Steph Curry has 12 made threes in clutch play. Anthony Edwards has 8. Derek White also has 8, and then VJ has 8. So he's tied for second behind only Steph Curry. That was a really good poll, with the exception that you kind of fumbled the name.
We talked about
the other Anthony.
Yeah, that was slip of the tongue there. Kyle, to your point about the ball handling and all, D'Angelo Russell was a DNP last game, did not play, but Ryan Nembhard has been getting the starts there as the point guard. Brandon Williams has been getting minutes as the backup. He played 30 minutes in their loss to the Portland Trailblazers. 125-122 was the final score. And so a lot of the ball handling responsibilities have been going to those two guys. Najee Marshall as a third option, helping out on ball to help out with the responsibility after you have those two guards, and of course Cooper Flagg. So I am very curious, especially with Najee Marshall having the game that he did have against the Sixers here in Philadelphia. Maxey went off, he had his 38, and Dominic Barlow had a 21 points for the Sixers in that one. But as far as the ball handling goes, yes, D'Angelo Russell, DNP. Let's see if he's back in the rotation tonight, though. But a lot of that responsibility has been going to Nembhard and Williams as the two lead guards to take some of that pressure off of Cooper Flagg and those others. So that is one to watch, because if they are, I'm just curious to the matchups overall and how they go about it. And Barlow did a decent enough job. Cooper Flagg got it going in the second half, where Najee Marshall was perfect from the floor for a long time until he finally missed a shot. And he really had a really good night. So I'm curious to see how things play out. And as far as the bigs, and also Daniel Gafford, when he does come in the game, seeing how all of that stuff works out, if he's on the floor versus Embiid, and his ability to jump, the quick second jump, and maybe change some of Joel Embiid's shot selection there. And the double bigs that we saw the other night in the Sixers win against the Memphis Grizzlies, with the Adembona part of it, with Joel Embiid next to him, PJ Washington, the other big forward that they have there next to Anthony Davis and Najee Marshall in that lineup. So anything there with the double bigs, knowing that sometimes we will see Gafford on the floor with Washington or also Anthony Davis?
Well, here's the thing. I think historically, you look at a team that has Anthony Davis and Daniel Gafford, and you would say, oh, Joel Embiid, doesn't matter who's guarding him from those two. He's going to put that guy through the stanchion. I think the problem with that mentality or that belief now is that we have not seen a version of Joel that is consistently getting deep touches or even really trying to establish deep position. It has been very face up and mid-range jumper heavy. Not to say that was not a big part of his game when he was at peak of his powers, but I think the distribution of his shots and even where he's trying to draw fouls is deeper than it once was. Like, I think Gafford especially, I remember the playoff series they had against Washington, and he just had no prayer when those two were on the floor. Like, Joel's moving him wherever he wants, and it's a lot of slapping down, reaching in. Gafford, to his credit, has gotten a lot better in the years since. He's a little bit less of a just straight rim runner type player. He's put on weight, and so he's able to deal with bigger guys like Joel more. But whether it's Davis or whether it's Gafford, they are matchups where Joel should be able to win, or at least draw the second defender, draw the pressure, and then you're freeing up the Maxies, the VJs, the Pauls of the world, and getting them some open threes. So I'm looking on Joel to be a focal point tonight, to take advantage of the weight matchup that he's got down there. And look, if he can't take advantage of that, then I hope he at least is a good decision maker in the same vein as the first 3 quarters or so of that Memphis game the other night, where I thought he had a really nice start to the game as a passer.
And I will say, I think Joel has been a little more active in establishing post position here over the last week or two, especially that Bulls game comes to mind. Like, a lot of the offense that they did create down the stretch was Embiid posting up and kicking it back out. Absolutely nobody made a shot on any of those kickouts, but he was looking to establish that. And I could see him, now that he's feeling a little bit better, he probably wants to prove that he's back. Doesn't mind if he gets switched onto AD. He might have a little bit of extra juice to try to get in the post and show that he can still do what he previously did. So I could see him trying to be a little more assertive in this one.
All right, let's get to the starters here on this night. Sixers and the Mavs. The Sixers are running out since Joel Embiid is available. The usual 5: Embiid, Barlow, George, Edgecombe, and Maxey. That's your starting 5 for your Philadelphia 76ers. No changes. And Embiid looked pretty good, as you guys talked about. So very curious to see. And Bree has the starters for the Mavs as well. Anthony Davis, along with PJ Washington, Cooper Flagg, Max Christie, who had 25. He was the leading scorer in their loss to Portland. And Ryan Nembhard in the point guard position for Jason Kidd's squad. So there you have it. Those are your starters for tonight. And let's get to the pregame picks presented by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. We did pretty good on Tuesday in the final one of 2025. And let's see if we can keep it going here as we start 2026. And Breeze bets are back, everybody.
All right.
New year off. Go with the money line right away. They're winning, Breeze says. That's a minus 135 if you're just going to simply say, you know what? Starting the new year, just take it easy and just go with the win. 2 in a row for the Sixers, minus 135. You got that right there. Mine, I have Edgecombe, focused on the 2 rookies. Edgecombe 15+, Cooper Flagg 20+. In this one, he had a down game against Portland. Expect him to bounce back with this one at home against the 76ers. And if you would like to combine the 3, make those 3 total, you can have the same game parlay. You can combine those, use a 30% profit boost at Bet365 right now, and that is for you. And if you're new and you want to sign up before the game gets started, use code PHLY365. You get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. Deposit 10, place a bet for 5, and you get that $150 credited to your account, win or lose, right there at Bet365. So starters, guys, anything there that stands out on the, I guess, the Dallas side versus on the Sixers side, since we're used to that starting 5?
No,
nothing.
Take care of business, fellas. That's kind of my. I feel similarly about this game as I did the Chicago game, and I think Chicago has been slightly better than the Mavs have been this year. But ultimately, it's a team that I think the Sixers are better than. They are healthy-ish, obviously. Seems like we're getting closer to Kelly Oubre potentially returning to the floor. Be a nice lift. So as they start to get a little bit healthier and they approach a home game coming up, can't believe they're so allowed to have those anymore. Take care of business here. The end of the road trip against the Knicks is going to be tough. So got to beat the Mavs tonight. At least get to your second win of the road trip and see if you can end up 3-2 with a surprise win against New York.
No, a 2-3 road trip you can live with. A 1-4 road trip would be a disaster. Obviously, the next game would be, will be tough. So take care of business here, and you can at least hold your head up a little bit. Would like the Bulls game, but can't fix that.
All right, that'll do it for us, everybody. When we come back after the game, that's about 10 minutes after the game goes final. See if the Sixers even up this 4 games out of 5. At 2-2, and of course, worry about the Knicks when they play them on Saturday. First things first, handle your business, as the guy said in front of you. We'll be back after the game, 10 minutes after the clock hits 0 for the PHLY Sixers post-game show. Break it all down from player of the game and a few other branded segments that we have here on the show. So for Bree, Kyle, Derek, I'm Devon. We'll be back afterwards. Sixers, Mavs, VJ, Flagg, Embiid, Davis. We'll talk about it all right here. Postgame, Sixers, PHLY Sixers postgame show presented by Bet365. Enjoy.
We all silly.